Welcome to Big Guys in Grover. I'm Cody. That's Scott. That's Chris. We are going to take an opportunity today to talk with Mike Rostek from PBR Bars. He's the managing. What is Mike? Mike is the managing partner, right?
Partner, yeah.
Managing partner. So he is the guy that's in charge of 9 bars across the United States.
9, yeah.
9 bars that carry the PBR logo and brand, and the Cowboy that they talk about every weekend and things, and that's what, the Cowboy, they're Cowboy bars. And so we're going to have an opportunity to talk with Mike, and here's a little bit of that conversation.
Hello.
Mike.
Yes, sir.
Cody, Chris, and Scott from Two Big Guys in Grover. How are you this morning?
How you guys doing? I'm great.
Good. Well, we're rehabbing from a long weekend in Kansas City's PBR. How about you?
I think you and me both. You could probably hear it in my voice. That's about 10 hours of Jack Daniels in my voice there.
Yeah, that's good. That's better than the coronavirus.
Yeah, definitely. might be more like a Coors virus the way things have been going.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. A good event, though. I mean, it's always a great weekend in KC following the St. Louis event. It's a good 2 weeks for us.
Good. Awesome. Well, we wanted to touch base with you. We had an opportunity this morning, and especially after the weekend, to sit down and just take some time and talk about who and what has brought us to the point that we now have this PBR Big Sky in Kansas City and other locations around the United States.
Yeah, it's a fun story to tell. We were kicking around in 2006 with the company that I partnered with to create a country bar, and we were looking at it, and we had a 2006 PBR event coming through KC. So we kind of set it up in an empty room that didn't really have an identity yet. And when I tell you it was mock set up, we had lawn furniture and hay bales out. And a liquor license.
That's not real.
That's every bar in Kansas, though, in Little Kansas.
So it was an upscale Little Kansas bar, but a very low scale for downtown. And, we kind of kicked it off with that weekend and got through the PBR weekend. We had all the Cowboys in, and we had everybody in that was coming for the event. And I sat down and I said, listen, we should probably do this a lot more. And it took me about, I would say, 60 days. And, of course, in partnership with John and Sean Gleason. And it came across the BevNap at dinner one night. We were just literally drinking, tossing around ideas. And I kept trying to find the BevNap to frame, and I can't. But that's where the original ideas came from. And in 2007, we launched. And it took fire. And we've caught it since then. We have 9 locations now. And the cool part about it is it's grown since the day we've opened it. It's kind of like a plant. We just learn something every year about the customer and the clientele and the city we're in. And it's become more organic, I think, which is weird for a company of that size, than it has been a business. We just want to really attach to the people in the cities that we're in, along with the PBR fans, to make sure they're getting the experience that they wanted. And we coined the slogan Cowboy Bar. It's not a country bar because it kind of defines what we play. And there's a lot of country bars that are very honky-tonk, two-step driven. But a Cowboy bar is kind of crazy. And you don't really know what's going to happen next. So are Cowboys. So are the PBR people and the PBR fans, let alone we saw it this past weekend. We're not afraid to let loose and kind of take the chains off. So I really didn't want to define it as a country bar. And I decided to slap Cowboy Bar on the side of it instead. And when somebody asks what a Cowboy Bar is, you just got to say, well, you got to go in there and check it out, because I really can't tell you what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes.
Well, I'll tell you what, and if you tried to check it out Saturday night at Kansas City, I don't think you made it very far.
Yeah, exactly.
Mike, after the event, my wife and I walked, this is Chris, we walked over, went in the door, and I made it really about 15 feet. And it was jam-packed. I mean, it was jam-packed from the door, but we kind of went back and forth. And obviously, I'm a big guy because I'm one of the 2 big guys. But navigating through the waters there, it was like packed. So it was definitely jamming after the event.
Yeah. It's a great weekend. And those kind of weekends, we really, obviously we're open every weekend other than those, but it really is a good chance for, a PBR fan to come in and may have not been there or hadn't been there in a while to kind of just see what we've done. We've made it a point to change a lot. We grow over every week almost. We make an adjustment. We have a call that says, this is kind of the trend going on right now. Whether it fits our demographic and our dynamic, I really couldn't tell you unless we try it. So we kind of just follow suit. I think, that's what we're best at. We really want to just grasp onto what everybody wants in the city, good or bad, whether it's, something new that we add to the party, a new drink, a new liqueur or whatever it is. And that's the fun part about it. We've actually just put $1 million into that Kansas City location, and it's 13 years old. And we're getting ready to put in our second oldest store in Louisville, Kentucky, another $1 million renovation, which kind of shows that the brand is strong. And the customer going in there is even stronger because honestly, they're the ones that make the wheels turn.
Well, what I think is awesome is a lot like other, when you go to PBRs, you see a lot of different people in the stands. And when you walk in PBR Big Sky in Kansas City, you see a lot of people that are not just, you don't see a lot of cowboy hats. I saw a lot of people that were not normal cowboys. We go with the phrase "be cowboy" this year. The PBR is using a "be cowboy" and those different things. And it really kind of embodied who was there in your guys' bar this weekend.
Yeah.
It's enough that
exactly.
The Western, the aesthetics of it is more cowboy, like you were just saying. When I walked in, it was definitely that. You could tell the difference. But it was a great mix between the Western lifestyle and also I'm going to call it a new age, but it's a more modern, hip cowboy lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. And when you take something like that and you make it cool, I love it that, some people take PBR weekend to dust off the cowboy boots that they got for Christmas from their husband or their wife. And, you can tell they're limp. Exactly. They're limping around the streets because they haven't worn them ever, or maybe once a year. Well, what we've seen too is, our clientele coming in now on the weekends is wearing those boots, but they're going, hey, let me go down to PBR on a Friday or Saturday night without an event. I think it's kind of cool. So we're making cowboy cool in whatever city we're in, including Kansas City. And then we're kind of creating that cowboy culture going, this is kind of neat. These guys are kind of letting loose up here. And the cowboy culture is wild, so it's hard not to grasp onto it.
Go ahead, Scott.
Mike, what are the cities that you have locations in? I know we just did an event in Baltimore. I know you've got one there, but let's give the listeners what cities.
Our very, very first one is Kansas City, Missouri. Then we have St. Louis, Missouri. We have Louisville, Kentucky, Baltimore, Maryland, Philadelphia. We have Norfolk, Virginia. We have Atlanta, Georgia. We have Hampton, Virginia. And our newest baby, just actually with the Global Cup, is in Texas, Arlington, Texas, attached to the new Rangers development stadium that they have built. And it's across the street from AT&T Dallas Cowboy Stadium. So huge partnership there with the Texas Rangers. And then we jumped in a little bit with the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones. So that speaks volumes to how comfortable those guys are with us as a brand too, and as a sport, because it says PBR on the side of the building.
I totally agree, but I think it's also that, everywhere we travel and we hear it, people that have gone to the bar either, after the event or while they're in town always say, man, I had a good time there. Even I know it's PBR and such, but the atmosphere is kudos to you guys because you've built that atmosphere. Because it's going to be hard to build a cowboy atmosphere in Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to be harder to build it in Baltimore. Dallas Cowboy Stadium and the Rangers down there, it's a little different. Kansas City's a little different, but to take it to the East Coast like you have and to be able to give them the culture of the cowboy,
to find the culture of the cowboy versus going deep into the Western part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a difference, and I could see how you guys have done a great job.
And Mike, that setup in Baltimore is that area that I kind of and I'll admit I flew in that morning and didn't get to I was so tired I couldn't stay up very late that night, but I dropped some guys off there. That area there in Baltimore is built up kind of like Power and Light is in Kansas City, where it was a really, really nice part of Baltimore because you kind of get over there by that Coliseum and it's a little different over there, a little rough there, but you get over to where your guys' venue was at, and man, it's a beautiful downtown area right there.
Yeah, and that's the first one. That's our headquarters in Baltimore. It's the first one. It's the oldest historically that we have as far as my partners and ECI goes. So the best part about it is, like I said, ECI has a very structured, portal behind it. And then PBR, they allow me on the PBR side to really say, yeah, we're going to lay down a foundation for it. But as we get into these cities, like you guys just said, on the East Coast, the Cowboy way isn't really relevant as it is in Texas, maybe. But we're going to ease it in and change the structure and how we deliver that message on certain levels. Philadelphia, same way, for instance. But it's worked, you know what I mean? And it's worked. But once they came in and try it, and I can't, like you just said, I really had a good time there, question mark.
It's infectious.
That's typically what it's when we write it out. And they're surprised the first time and then the second time. And I look up and I'm tell you what, you know, next year when you get in there, I guarantee you I see some familiar faces from this previous year that had told me that it was their first time. So they really enjoy it. And that's where the kind of win comes for me is we create the fan of the bar and then a fan of the sport as well. So it goes hand in hand.
It's not just the fans that enjoy it. The PBR staff enjoys it as well. You know,
yeah, higher energy.
It's a good and a bad having that deal right across the street. I think.
Let's talk about that.
What the crew was saying on Sunday morning.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh boy, it was a good time over there. And I said, yeah, it's nice when that bar is just right across the street.
Well, let's talk about that.
Well, it's funny because
go ahead.
We sit in the meetings and we're going through production, and usually at the end it's like, who's going over to PBR tonight? And it's half the hands get waved up. We try to organize it where anybody with a credential goes over and has a good time. It doesn't have to wait in line. And then that Sunday morning, the hands that were down, you're going, wait a minute, I thought you weren't going to come over last night. You can tell. Hey, you were wearing that shirt yesterday.
Yep. One guy came in and he said, I think somebody spiked my water that I drank this morning when I woke up. I was like, no, that was from last night.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's talk about some of the events that you guys have that are not when the PBR is there on the weekends, because I think that's what, like in Kansas City, just because we're here and we know it, but, we've had a Sea of Red has been down there the last few weeks. I mean, with winning the Super Bowl and things, and yet the bar has been hopping. And so what other events do you guys do outside of when we're in town or the PBR is in town?
Well, the first thing I did for the 2020 calendar is I took the notes from last year, and, obviously we have a bunch of feedback online and things like that. And we created a really good country music series that we created inside PBR. We had Low Cash Cowboy, Stoney LaRue, Kip Moore, based with our iHeartMedia partner. So that alone kind of fuels us into the wintertime to get us through some of the rougher months. But because of the $1 million renovation, especially in Kansas City, we opened that room wide up enough to get us the ability to have these bigger acts in there that are coming through. And now that we have 9 locations, PBR will be a tour. So you'll have the PBR bar tour.
That's awesome.
Where he hits the 9 locations. Blackstone Cherry is a partner with Professional Bull Riders. They played in Texas for us last weekend, or 2 weekends ago. You know what? No one was really familiar with them until they kind of opened up their Facebook page and realized they had some great songs out and they played live. So we're hand in hand kind of doing those kind of concerts and stuff. And then we have a 4 Friday approach that has been working really well, starting with our Freedom Friday on the first Friday of the month, which is just an honorary Friday for heroes in our minds, whether it's first responders, military, nurses. We have doctors. We had a lady that was nominated for Hero of the Month that rescued a family out of Iraq. She adopted 4 Iraqi children. Wow. And it was pulling at the heartstrings of a lot of people in there. But it started when my sister got home from Iraq. That's where the event started 11 years ago, and has grown so strong. Then it became nationally known and got a lot of PR attention. But I didn't want it to become the typical chain restaurant thing is show your military ID, you get 5 cents off your wings. That's just not what we are, So we do a tremendous military salute at midnight. We stop the entire crowd.
That's what I remember. That's what it is.
So it's pretty
goosebumps.
wild. And,
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, it's and then we do a nominate a hero once a quarter, which is great. And like I said, it's who your hero is and my hero is. There's someone sitting in a room somewhere going, this lady, like I just said, adopted these 4 kids from Iraq. She's a hero.
Yeah.
And, if you think outside the box, there's a lot of heroes sitting around that we don't know about. So it's a really cool event. My favorite, A, because of the ties of my sister, and B, you get that moment to stop and really get your drink in the air for, 30 seconds and just bring everybody together with a really good cause. So it's fun.
Well, and you guys do like Kansas City, and I don't know if other locations are this way, but like we have that hot country nights during the summertime.
Yeah.
Or do you guys have the same? And only because I'm familiar with Kansas City, but do you have those other places? I mean, is that just here or?
every district we have a live venue at. So it's 4th Street Live, Power
That's
Plant
awesome.
Live in Baltimore, Hampton Roads Live. There's a Hot Country Night series, and that's kind of the same way. The bigger artists, because it's obviously a bigger venue, can travel around to all our Hot Country Night series. This year, the budgets have grown quite a bit. iHeartRadio has jumped on board again this year with us too. So when we release the calendar this year, I can promise everybody's going to be even more excited about last year. And last year we hit a home run, I believe, with the attendance levels that we had and the shows we put on. But because those attendance levels were so high and we were so successful, it just opens the budget up even more inside KC Power and Light, and then pre and post parties inside PBR. So it works really, really well.
Well, and you guys aren't just I've been to events over there during the week that aren't when the bar is open, because you guys have like an event space, right?
We have, so the way Kansas City Power and Light works is 14 city blocks, and all the restaurants and nightclubs in there we either own or lease out. We have event spaces. We have restaurants tied into us. We have big event spaces for like weddings and any kind of motivational speakers. We've had stand-up comedians. So there's nothing too big. You know, our Halloween and our Mardi Gras, St. Patrick's Day, New Year's Eve is obviously big, but we do have event spaces big enough to just throw any kind of act in there we want. We have a lot of speakers come through that want to talk to any select group of people, and we have an event space for them as well. So Kansas City Power and Light's amazing in the fact that it's so moldable to, we can really do anything inside there, small, big, weddings, up to 5,000 people. So it's really cool.
Yeah, see?
You want to talk about a melting pot of people when it comes to, kind of on a Hot Country night which is Thursday in Kansas City. That's kind of a, more Western lifestyle type of people. But any other time during the week, it could be a huge melting pot of people. It's kind of like the old bar scene in Aggieville in Manhattan, I believe, because you'll cowboy hats walking alongside of
It's the
guys that have never seen cowboys and cows before. So it's a great mixture of people down there.
Well, it's wild because of the Kansas City culture, and I'm super proud of them because they grab onto sports so well that ESPN has picked up the streaming to Kansas City Power and Light District, and it hits ESPN for the Women's World Cup. That was the first channel they hit when they flashed back that the United States scored a goal. It showed Kansas City Power and Light because there were 7,000 people just watching the game in that main area in there. And then, of course, for the Chiefs Super Bowl win, that was the number one camera shot they took too, was KC Power and Light. So that's been the spot for major sporting events for years. Super Bowl, World Series, World Cup, and they just flock there. Because we provide a good experience, I believe, and they just want to be around people that are the same mentality towards sports as they are. And Kansas City is a perfect example of just a city that grabs on to sports and loves it. So March Madness is right around the corner. It's another big spot for them to be at because
it gets crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane, and it's hold on for dear life and hope we make it through. It's kind of the pregame.
If we could just get through this.
Yeah.
If we could just get through that.
Do we have the Big 12 tournament this year, or does it go somewhere else? I think this is our off year, isn't it?
I don't remember.
Because that's another huge.
What I think is awesome is that in Western sports, and we talk about it all the time here, is that the growth that we've seen inside the sport in the last 30 years, I'm going to say in the last 15 years, we have seen an exponential growth. I mean, whether it be prize money, contestants, we're starting to gain contestants back in the Western sports world. But how awesome is it to say that here is a bar that has grown from the likeness of Western sports and bull riding, and now to be successful in not just Kansas City or Dallas, but to be successful outside it amazes me.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's so funny because you go over to one of the PBR events and you get the Cowboy version of it because they are PG driven. They're on television, they're on CBS a lot, Spike TV, whatever it may be. So you get that the Cowboy that you see taking his hat off and riding a bull, and it's very very PG version. And in my mind, what I like to do is take every bit of something that you see in a music video. And you got the sexy, you got the cool, you got the guy that's badass, you got the girl that's got the mohawk and she thinks she's cowboy too. And then you shove that into my bar. And that's kind of what we do.
Times
so
10.
You get the best of both worlds.
Multiples.
And you throw a handful of buckle bunnies in there and you know what you've got.
Exactly. And what's funny about the staffs are, and we have them in 9 cities, so I have over 1,000 staff members, and they're predominantly females. They don't walk in as one of those people, and then they walk in kind of shy a little bit. So we create these characters in a play, and this is exactly I'm going to give you the opening speech to everybody. The character in the play that you're in within these 4 walls could be anybody you want to be, as long as you stick to that character. If you want to change it, go ahead. But when you walk outside, you're a school teacher, and you're a lawyer, and you're a student somewhere. But when you come in here, and they grasp onto that, so they're these rock stars, and you create this image that they have of themselves. Once they put that uniform on, they really, really take to it, and I love it. It's controlled chaos, and it's hard to control, but once you do, it's beautiful.
Well, it's the opportunity to plant the Be Cowboy seed, right? I mean,
all I know is the next time I go, I will let my character unveil.
But you're not going to put on one of those outfits.
No.
Well,
Let's go ahead and get that down straight right now, because that was Cody. Mike, that was Cody talking. One of the big guys. He does not need to put on one of those outfits.
If you let your character unveil, I'm going to need one of your helmets to put on.
Well, you do have the the pig and the bull walk into a bar.
Yeah, no, but actually, speaking of bull, do you have a bull in every city?
We have a bull in every city. We have 2 in Texas.
Nice. That's my favorite part, when people finally get the courage to be cowboy or become a cowboy. About 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, after they've got the Coors virus. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, that's when I enjoy it.
Yeah, I love it when the businessman comes up to me at the airport and goes, "Yeah, I rode a bull once. I mean, it was a mechanical bull and had power and light." But
so I do have a question. Do you guys have the Las Vegas bar? Is that you guys too?
That is not us.
Okay.
That's Jonathan Fine. He partnered with the PBR. We were right in the middle of 3 grand openings at one time, and the Vegas location came up to they consulted with us for about 30 days. But that was a different partnership with a different group of guys that went out there and did the Vegas location.
I was going to touch base. I didn't know if it was you guys or not. So
yeah, that was the only one that we haven't done yet. We are in the process of building Westmoreland, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Pittsburgh, in partnership with our casino division. So we're sitting directly above the casino at 4,200 square feet. And it's going to be probably because of the casino guys, and thank you for this, casino people, but their pocketbooks are a little bit bigger than mine is, so the build-out's going to be a lot more expensive, which is going to cause me to put a lot prettier decor in there. It's going to be, in my mind, one of the prettiest ones I got, and it's Westmoreland needed it, and I don't know if you guys have ever been through Westmoreland, but the town is just in need of something like this so bad that I'm super excited about being there, and we'll be opening in October. About 2020.
Very cool.
So I'm going to go to a personal note for a second. You worked out with Matt West. Was that yesterday?
That was, when was that? That was Saturday.
Did you show him how you're supposed to lift weights, or?
I tried to, and then he took it. So me and Matt have this ongoing kind of like battle with each other since the day we met about 13 years ago. And the last text I sent that kind of sealed the deal was the big screen in Texas. I don't know if you guys were there or not. But it's it's about 185-foot television set, and I said, Matt, do you realize how fat you look on that television set? And that
it adds about 5,000 pounds.
That's
he got
awesome.
So upset.
I'm surprised he didn't come over the.
Yeah, I'm sure he's still pouting about it.
Yeah.
He gets well, I don't know if you saw the picture on his Instagram, but he turned sideways and didn't tell me he was going to turn sideways at the last minute to show how big his arm was.
That's a Matt
he
move.
Would not take another picture.
That's classic Matt.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of that, there's a podcast out there. I think it's King and Sting that's got that he did a little blurb on. Theo Vaughn. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but Matt's in this really skinny, like I think he stole it from Megan, her polo shirt, and they call him out on it. So you got to look it up because he calls him out on it. It's pretty funny.
Nice. Well, he was on Theo Vaughn the week before, and then he sent back a video. They were on the beach or something, and sent back something about PBR Pro Bowl riders and all this other guy, and King It or Sting It. It's with Brandon Shaw.
Yeah, I forget who it was.
Whatever the guy. He's another comedian, and the first thing they say was like, "Yeah, PBR." There's not a lot of cloth and not a lot of material in their shirts because
they're making fun of
Matt.
It was
absolutely skin tight.
Typical
Matt.
It's funny they called him out on it. So
we said, "What size shirt you wear?" T-shirt. What size shirt you wearing? He's like, large. Okay, maybe actually,
Yeah.
But here's the extra large.
Medium.
Yeah, medium. All right, man. Well, we appreciate. We're gonna actually one day here real soon. We're gonna have you back on. We're gonna talk about your Freedom Fridays because I think that is something that the world needs to hear about and to know, and to not only know about it, but then to be able to go down there on Fridays and be a part of it. So
yeah, it's a big deal. We love it. It's like I said, it's so outside of the regular chain places. I mean, it's so heartfelt, and bring your camera phone and catch the moment when it happens, because it happens every first Friday of the month, and you won't forget it.
Awesome. We appreciate having you on, man. We will be in touch.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. You're right. You. Bye.